Hi and welcome to Explore, the program where we explore leadership in the 21st century. And today I am so honored and pleased to be able to present to you a true feminine leader, Mai Kappenberger, who is the CEO of one of our most luxurious five-star hotels here in Denmark. And I invited you, Mai, because you are a role model for me, but first welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes. And the reason why I find Mai is a role model is because not only are you a very effective result-producing leader of your hotel, and that's why you kept getting new jobs as CEO for hotels. But what I'm inspired by is your being, because it's rare to find a female CEO who's also very feminine. So my question for you is, how did you preserve your femininity while rising in the pretty tough and I guess I don't know if it's male-dominated hotel industry? So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you maintained your authenticity.
Okay, yeah, so it has been a long journey that I started in Switzerland when I was 17. Well, actually it started before, because I had, of course, summer jobs working in hotels and restaurants. And in Denmark we start early with our free time jobs apart from the school. So I went to Switzerland when I was 17. I worked in different hotels, primarily five-star hotels, spa hotels, resort hotels. And then I went to the Hotel School of Lausanne, which is one of the leading hotel schools in the world. And of course it is, like most of the jobs are, a man-dominated world, so it is. But I also think that the hospitality is about, it's about hospitality, it's about being there for people, it's about doing good for others. And I think that's where the feminine touch comes in, and where it really makes sense to maintain that. And I also think that leadership has changed a lot over the years. We have seen this whole wave with emotional intelligence coming up. So of course that has naturally led to have more focus on women as leaders. Because I say that we have this naturally, that's what we're born with, so we just have to keep it, like you say. Mm-hmm. So over the time, I mean, that has been different jobs working in the hospitality industry. I did different jobs in the hotel, everything from being a florist to working in the kitchen. That is a true hardcore man-dominated world. The tone of voice is pretty harsh. It's a very physical environment to work in. You have to be strong, you work many hours, you're on the floor. So, of course, that's one of the departments in the hotel where it's quite difficult to maintain your, your feminine side, because it's about physical strength and it's a lot of pressure. But then there are other sides of the hotel where it's very important to have a feminine side. And when I say that, I think it's all about the caring for the guest. So working in my business, you have the possibility of keeping your feminine side and using it in a positive way. And I have a little saying, a little management mantra. So I always say, it's the personal touch that means so much. So I train my team to come to work, to be professional, have all their procedures in order, and through the procedures create time to give the guest this little extra. That is the personal touch. And I think the personal touch, we can call it a feminine side. It's empathy. It's about wanting to do the best for this specific guest. And that is perhaps something feminine. That's what we do as mothers. That's what we do as sisters. So we take care of people. So very naturally, when we look way back, nurses have always been women because we're good at taking care of people. And I think if you see that as a strength, as a leader in a working environment, in the business world where things are getting very tough, we are under time pressure the whole time. So if you can create this little space of making people feel good, your staff, your guests, your partners, whoever you work and collaborate with, if you can give this little feeling of human empathy that I care about you, then I think you succeed nowadays. So that's a bit the way that I have chosen to go.
And but you could say that many women are very good at that, and many women, for that reason, end up in the HR department or in the communications department or in the what you could say pink areas of a business. But you rose to the very top. So how do you explain that? Is that because is that something we see often in the hotel industry, or how did you become the top person? And then this is not the first time, you've done it a couple of times and for really well estimated hotels, so there must be something you do that is different from just ending up in, not just ending up, but ending up in a pink department.
Yes, you're right about that. So what is the difference? I don't know if it's a question of a feminine or masculine side. I think it's a personality thing. So I want to be the best. I want to have the best team. I want to have the best hotel, the best restaurant. And if you have this urge to be the best, I mean, this is the strategy. We have a vision for Kurhotel Skodsborg saying we want to be the leading Nordic spa hotel. So if we want to be the best, then we have to work hard. And I don't see this as a masculine or a feminine side. I just see this as a personality question. But of course there has been moments along the way where I have been kind of, you can say, competing with a man for a position, or you can say where you see that the men, they more easily get promotions and all this, also in the hospitality industry. And you know, you say, oh, I've been working so hard, why did he get this position? You know, and then just have to work harder. And I also think that the difference between men and women is a bit that men are not afraid of you know, saying how good they are, what they can do, and we are all, women in general are a bit more humble about it, a bit more insecure, or perhaps we are more perfectionists, so we don't want to take a job unless we can do it 100%. Whereas a man who will just say, of course I can do it, of course I can lift 120 kilos, he might only be able to lift 100 or 110, but he'll just pretend. Where we say, we'll only come and say that we can lift 120 kilos if we can actually do it. So just saying, you know, being sure that your skills might be more important in that specific job than what the job ad says. If you say, okay, I understand this job, I know they're asking for this and this and this, but I have a skill which is not one of the bullets, but I'm sure that my skill is more important for this specific job. And then go and do it.
That's what you did?
I guess so, yes.
Mm-hmm. So you went for the top jobs and you were convinced that you had that little extra, that personal touch, yes, that would make you a better CEO than a regular CEO.
Yes, I think so. Yes, yeah, that's what I did.
And then you proved that to be right, because otherwise you wouldn't have continued, you could say.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yes. And then you have these times, like everybody have it, when you start doubting, you know, and when I came to Skodsborg, I had to make this turnaround of the place, which was a tough job. The place had been sleeping for years, for 20, 30, 40 years. So I had to put this place alive, wake it up. And so you choose your strategy, you go ahead, you lose people along the road, you lose customers because you're changing the entire concept. And I tell you, there have been days where I was like, is it the right thing that I'm doing? Is this the right thing? And then you have to have the self-confidence and believe in your strategy and just keep on moving. Mm-hmm. So that is a personality thing. I think you have to be a bit stubborn, call it stubborn, but you have to believe in your strategy and hold on to it. And perhaps sometimes women, when you see that you are hurting somebody because you're losing somebody on the way, that might be difficult for a woman, more difficult for a woman than for a man. So you can't be the best in your business or in this area that you want to walk into. You can't be the best unless you lose somebody on the way. You can't be everything for everybody, but you want to be the best for the markets or the segments that you choose. And of course, this means saying goodbye to somebody along the road. And I think that is difficult, more difficult for a woman than for a man, perhaps. But that's when you have to have your eyes in the stomach and just keep on going and believing in your concept and believing, do your market research, of course, and believe and know that there is a market for the product that you are doing or creating.
I think this is a very, very important part, because what you're saying is, of course, that a good leadership takes both the yin side and the yang side, and we need that combination of so-called masculine and feminine traits. But what you're also saying is that if you really want to be the best and succeed in becoming to a leader position, you cannot give up. No. I mean, you cannot afford to give up on the way. You cannot afford to... I think you will be tested again and again and again if you believe enough in your vision, if you really want to go for this.
Yes.
And the ones who really want to go for this are the only ones, I think, who succeed, because it's really, you really have to go through a lot of, I almost call them like sacramentals, or you almost have to go through. It's almost like this, when the kids play the computer game, are you ready for the next level? Okay, you have to master something, and then the next level, are you ready for the next level? I think this is what you talk about, right?
Yes, yes. So
and that's the same thing for an entrepreneur, by the way, because there are many entrepreneurs who look at this.
Yes.
And it's the same procedure. You will be tested.
All the way.
Yeah.
And of course it will hurt. But that's like any relationship. It will hurt along the way. And that is where you have to say, okay, I know it will hurt, but it will get better. And I have to believe that what I do will be better for others. So yeah, it's hard when you lose somebody along the way, or when people don't believe in you, but that's what it takes to bring it on to the next level.
Another reason why I think you're very feminine, because I've noticed this personal touch, I noticed the care, I noticed the emphasis in your hotel. It's a lot about wellness, and it's all about feeling good. So you do make a big effort to make people feel the aesthetics, the ocean, the possibilities for fitness and all that. But one thing I noticed is that I met some of your employees, and they told me that there's total integrity in the organization. You also take equally as much care for the employees. So you actually, I heard somebody say that you actually have this rule now, that it's not only the guests who go to the fitness room, everybody, all the employees get time off to go to the fitness room during the week.
Yes.
And that, I think, is a great initiative. So tell me, why do you do that, and what do you get out of it?
Well, so the whole thing started when I started at Skodsborg. I took over a team that had been there average 10 years plus. They were like, how can you say, I think the average age was probably something around 45. So we had to do this whole change. And the biggest challenge for Kurhotel Skodsborg at that time was that the employees were working under this very Scandinavian culture that we are employees, we have to go to work, we have to have a great day at work. Yes, of course we do, but we are here for one reason, and that's for our guests. And if you as an employee are so focused on coming to work and having your good coffee and having a good time with your colleagues, then you forget the guest. So then you don't at all have your work or the person in focus. So that was the biggest challenge in the beginning. That was to teach the team to focus on the guest. So that was a pretty rough discipline that I had to work into the culture. And of course people then were like, what you say? But now we have to work, that's not what they said. But, but of course I was taking away things from the people. But I said, well, we're losing money. This is where we want to go. We want to be the leading Nordic Kurhotel or spa hotel. So we need to have focus on the guest. We are competing with the best hotels in the world, and they know about this. They have full attention to any guest that enters the door. And if you're passing by drinking your own coffee, then naturally you can't have a focus on the guest. So I was taking away a lot of good things from the employee. And then we were struggling, and then we were training, and the whole time having these motivational talks and showing the goal, this is where we want to go. And that was tough, that was really tough. And then slowly the culture started changing. And you could see people, that's what she means. And people coming back, oh yeah, this guest came back and said it was such a nice evening we had, and they loved that we were, I don't know, pouring the wine in a special way or whatever. So these little details the employees started feeling. So they had this immediate response for doing an effort towards the guest. And that's the best way to motivate people, that you can actually feel what you're doing makes sense or makes another person happy. So then we had the whole culture work, and that took about 3 years before we had that really worked under the skin. And so we moved up, the product moved on, of course we developed the product, and that was everything we changed, from the concept, the product, the rooms, the interior, the design, the food, the wine list, the cocktail list, everything had to be changed. And then we reached a point where we, so I have to add that it was difficult to get employees to work in the hotel because it was an old hotel. Nobody knew about the place. And all these young, ambitious people from Copenhagen or people coming from abroad, of course they wanted to work in the city center. And nobody wanted to take the train 20 minutes outside Copenhagen to work, especially not working late at night and then having to take the train back to Copenhagen. So that was a challenge. So over the years, with the concept developing and people started talking about Hotel Skodsborg, and they were seeing that we were very ambitious with what we wanted to do, we got all the young people with great ambitions. And then you get them out there, and they had not been a part of the previous journey. So they came to this place with high expectations for their own ambitions. And those ambitions you have to nurse in order to have the best team. So we started this program called the Nordic Fittest Hotel Team, Walk the Talk. So of course they had to talk to our guests about our spa and about the fitness. And how can they talk about it if they don't do it themselves? So we have created this program, it's been 2 years now. So they have the possibility of training within the work hours 3 times a week. So we have 2 CrossFit courses and a yoga session. And we changed the concept in our canteen where the employees eat. We offered no smoking courses with the acupuncture. So we did different things. We have a stress coach especially. So if people all of a sudden show signs of stress, not feeling good, we are trained as leaders and even the middle management to react to this. Go to your colleague and say, I think you are having a hard time. I think you should go and talk to the stress coach. And we can see if we catch that in the beginning, then it helps these people immediately. So that has been tremendous to do this. I mean, it's been so fantastic results. And of course we could see it, that people were not as sick as they used to be. And people got a lot stronger emotionally. They got a lot more emotionally involved in the hotel and in their work. So of course you come up there, you know at 2 o'clock I'm gonna be doing the CrossFit with my colleagues, and so you feel the spirit when you walk through the hotel. And we did it especially for the kitchen in the beginning, because the kitchen, like I mentioned before, is a very hard working environment. And you see people that have been working in the kitchen all their life get very physically used. So we said, we want to do something proactively about that. We don't want people to, do the opposite of what we are preaching, namely improving your lifestyle, your quality of life along the age. We want you, and we want our employees to do exactly the same thing. Work a whole life and still be fit and have a good time when you get older as well.
So it's just really extraordinary. And you're using, I wrote this book about the 7 pillars in 21st century leadership, and I can just check off how you're using all of them, because this is a very holistic way of thinking. and integrity. And I think it clearly pays off. I mean, I heard the stats. You know, you had a really lowered absence of illness. Yeah, 6. I mean, was it like? It was an amazing. Was it 25% or 50% or something?
Exactly,
Like that?
in the kitchen.
Yeah, which is really extraordinary, I think, and it's saving a lot of money.
Yes, so it is.
Yeah,
And getting people to be a lot more productive when they're at work because they're fit.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting in Denmark. Even in Denmark, it's only 8% of all companies right now who have fitness at work. 8%.
8%?
8%. It's nothing. Yeah.
That's nothing.
So when it gives such good results, you could say, well, why don't the rest of us do it?
Yeah.
Right away.
But it will come. I mean, we can see that we have all these corporate people having their meeting in the hotel, and you can see when the meeting organizer is booking, they always ask at K-Hotel Skodsborg to do something, an active event during the meeting. And of course we challenge them, and of course we offer it to them and give them a full proposal. And if they say, oh, we only have 15 minutes, then we're like, okay, come outside on the lawn, then we do a breathing session or something so you get some fresh air. And they see the result. They see, of course, that when people come back into the meeting room after 10 minutes outside, they have a whole other energy.
I mean, picture perfect example of 21st century leadership.
We have a long way to go still, but it's so nice to see that the things that we have started up, that the concept that we have chosen to implement, that they actually work.
Yeah, that is so cool. You have another interesting thing that I have experienced myself and that I have been very impressed by, because you chose to, when the hotel was pretty new, the new hotel was pretty new, you chose to do a lot of networking events, and what I attended was one of your MICE Monday mornings, where you invited, you know, I mean, it was sort of by word of mouth, you know, who wants to come to MICE Monday, and it was sort of influential women and driven women and ambitious women from all kinds of, you know, businesses that you invited to come and experience the spa, and then we had a network meeting at 7 a.m. or something like that.
On a Monday morning.
Yeah, and at first this could look like nice to have, not really need to have. This could look like, you know, why is she doing that? I mean, I think, didn't you get questions from male people? Why are you doing that? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of with inviting 30, 50 women on a Monday morning at 7? You know, what's the purpose? And please talk about why you did that and what came out of it.
Yes. So before I started at K-Hotel Skodsborg, I worked at a boutique hotel in Copenhagen. So whenever I wanted to invite business connections, either to show the hotel or to have a business meeting, it was so easy for them to join in for a coffee or a glass of wine late, early evenings or whatever. And then I moved out to Skodsborg. And of course I wanted to show the place to the people, and I had to do, of course, sell and maintain my network. So I realized that just starting a new job, I wouldn't have time to sit 2 hours every day to have lunch with somebody, or 2 hours each morning to show the place and then have breakfast with people. So you don't have time for that when you start a new job. So I was like, how do I get this started? What do I do? And then I came up with this idea, inviting a group of people each Monday morning. So in this way, I would show the place, maintain my network, and give people a good experience that they would talk about. And of course, get people to work for the place, to sell meetings, overnights, whatever. So the way I did it was I took on my LinkedIn profile the 100 most influential people, or people that I knew would be important for the business, and invited them for the first Monday mornings. And it was every Monday. And it started out being men and women in the beginning. But then after a short time, we kind of realized that the physical training and the themes that we were talking about were different. So slowly it just became, you could see the men kind of fading away and And then it became a women network only. So today there are 243 members in the group of LinkedIn, and they get my posts once a month. And this is the 4th year that we are entering. And the first 3 years it was every Monday morning, meeting 7:30, training for 45 minutes, going to the ocean, dip in the ocean year through, then change, have a bath, and then we go and have breakfast, and then one of the participants makes a 20-minute speech about a theme that is important to her. And that can be a new business, a challenge, private challenge, whatever. So a lot of different people, and that is what is so inspiring about it, and it's very dynamic. So it's always, some people might be the same, but then there are always new faces. So now we changed it this year to being the first Monday every month, and now we also have some evening concepts, because it's not everybody who can get off Monday mornings at 8 o'clock or at 7 or 6, depending on where you live. And some of the big corporates also always have morning meetings to start off the week. So now they have the possibility of joining these evening sessions instead. And it has been fantastic for Courtail Skodsborg. I say that on Monday mornings, cyberspace was spammed with photos of these happy women with red faces just coming out of the ocean and just having this total power. And when you see this power that gives you this adrenaline, this kickstart to your week, doing it for you, then of course everybody looks at it and say, oh, I want to do that myself. So it has worked very well with the network.
Yeah, but it has also resulted in cash flow. You have a lot of the people...
A lot of business.
Yeah.
So the first year, the network, which were about 150 people, generated, I think, 500,000 Danish kroner. The year after, it was 1 million kroner. So, I mean, we spend money because it's free of charge to participate. It don't cost you anything. But the expense is very well given because it really generates business to the place.
That's very smart. That's the feminine art of networking. And by the way, you know, for men listening to this, this is not about bashing the male style. It's just so refreshing for a woman like myself, and I'm sure for other women who hear this, to hear that all the feminine skills and the things we are inclined to do. We love networking, we love creating relations, we love taking care of people, we love showing empathy, we love using our bodies. I mean, that there's a room for that in corporate life, and even if you're very ambitious and very driven, I mean, that's what inspires me, because we come from an era where women have had to shut down. No, don't use your body at work. No, don't use your emotions at work. No, don't use your intuition at work. No, shut up. Don't talk to those people. Focus on your work, you know.
Yes, exactly.
So it's very refreshing to hear that this is actually allowed.
It works. It really works.
It actually creates cash flow. It works even for the bottom line, so what's not to like? Yeah.
And what happened then was that some of the men that were part of the network in the beginning, they were like, okay, now it's women only. When do you do something for men? Mm-hmm. So of course I had to start up a network for men. So I did that together with Thomas Rode, a former Michelin-starred chef, who kind of changed his own lifestyle from being this hardworking. He still is very hardworking, but you know, having this very rough lifestyle. So he changed his entire lifestyle with training and the right nutrition. So now he has this network for men. Every Monday, Thursday and Friday morning, they meet to train, and then they have a kitchen where he cooks for them. So men can also join the network, but do it in their way. Mm-hmm. And I see that is very positive too. They kind of have their world, and we have our Monday morning world. And twice a year, we connect the two networks, and we do a training and a big session together. And that gives a fantastic adrenaline through everything, you know, because then the girls work a little harder to prove to the boys that we are real strong. And so, yeah, it creates a very good vibe.
So that's the pillar of polarity, that you're even using that one, which in my view is that men and women are a little bit different. So it's really nice to not be treated as an androgynous person who has where the gender doesn't mean anything. It's really nice sometimes to be among your own gender, because it's just different experience and different topics and different ways of relating. So I like that a lot. I think we should do that a lot more. Allow the women to be women, allow the men to be men, and then allow that fruitful connection of difference. Yes. Because it's such a creative spark when we really allow that, instead of everybody being the same. I mean, what's so interesting about that?
Yeah.
It's not interesting. And it doesn't spark creativity, and we cannot afford to not be creative in this new era. We have to be massively creative. So we better learn this.
Yes.
A final thing I want to tell you about, because maybe you don't notice this yourself, but this is I've been enjoying this a lot. So you're this high-powered CEO. You have all these important meetings, all these important guests come to your hotel, and a traditional someone in your position would be very focused and very working very hard and very focused on being productive, and you are too. But what I love about it is that you're very much into pleasure. You're very much into having...
Definitely.
Yeah, you're very much into having fun. So when you come to a networking meeting with Mike, she'll be the first on the dance floor and the last one to leave. I even once saw you dance with a broken leg, You're like, I don't care, I'm just gonna...
A broken leg should not keep me from dancing.
Right, and then,
I got another leg to dance on.
I know, and then another time we came to a meeting, and then there was a woman teaching us hula hop. And so, I just love that you're it's like your whole self is at work, and you have this focus on fun and pleasure. And I think for me, this has really created a completely different atmosphere around Scottsboro Hotel, because a lot of, you could say a lot of luxury brands or high-end brands or a lot of corporate brands become very stiff and very serious and very, shh, don't talk too loud because we're in this posh place. But you make it like this, we're here to have a good time. But didn't you ever have any traditional leaders say, shh, Mike, not so much disco in your office, can you please calm down? You're distracting me.
Well, I don't do disco in the office, but now I'm very fortunate to have a gym where I can do the disco, so each thing in their place, right?
Did you ever have someone try to calm you down and say, can you please quiet, or can you try to shrink a little bit instead of expanding all the time?
Yeah. Well, so traditionally seen the hotel industry or a hotel, it's about pleasure. So it is, but it's also working in a hotel. It's about setting the scene for the guest. So this is another part of our culture that we have been training. We must never take focus away from the guest. We must never take the scene. We should always make the scene ready for the guest so that the guest is in focus at all times. But of course we have another job, and that is to create the ambience. So of course it's a balance, and sometimes I might be dancing a little too much, but
can you ever dance too much? Is that possible?
Well, I don't think so, but you have to do it at the right time, let's say so. It would probably be funny if I Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock started dancing in the lobby. I guess that people would find that a little weird, but...
You're just setting a new trend.
Yeah, yes, exactly. No, so everything at the right time, at the right place, that is important. But we have this job, creating the scene, creating the ambience, and that's what we all have to do. And I try to do my best to help with that. But
then again, the only reason it really works is because it's natural for you. I mean, you really look like you're having a ball. I mean, you're doing this not to do. I mean, you're doing it because it's natural for you also to create a good atmosphere. And so that says something about it's really important for someone to be in the right, what can you say, in the right element, Yes. So you thrive, so you really genuinely thrive in this element. And you're like a fish in water in this element. I mean, you really are. So it's perfect that way, and which makes sense to find one's calling and be in the right element, because then you can really enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, so you have to be, and I am a social person. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't work in the hospitality industry. So it is important. And of course, like you say, if you are there and if you feel like a fish in the water, then you have to show it, because it has a positive effect on your surroundings and on the people around you. And I also want my team to walk around the lobby and smile and showing that they're feeling good, or being a little red-faced after the CrossFit, and so you can actually see it, and then they can say, oh yes, I just did the CrossFit session. Have you tried the CrossFit? It's amazing. Or I did the yoga. This is why I'm so relaxed today. So live what you're doing and show it.
That's a good piece of advice. Do you have, to finish off, do you have 3 pieces of advice for, it could be anyone, but I'm thinking there's many women watching this, so do you have some advice for people who want to do what you did, rise to the top, have a lot of fun, create success, have an interesting, adventurous work life, and take leadership for creating something amazing in the world? What would your advice to them be?
So an advice for a woman being ambitious, wanting to reach the top, you have to believe in your skills. And like I mentioned before, it might say on the job ad that you need these and these and these and these skills, but then you might have something that is more important than what this ad says. So use this skill, because you have, even if you're young, you have seen this specific skill work for you. So use it and believe in it and say it out loud. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is, you have to work hard. Always, if you want to come to the top, you have to work hard. But along the way, have fun. Because if you forget to have fun, you forget to enjoy, then you can never be a good leader. Because then you forget to feel the people around you. So you must bring your feelings into what you do in a good way. And the last thing that I want to say is, like I said before, you have to believe in the way that you have chosen. And it will hurt. But life hurts once in a while. And if it doesn't hurt a little bit, then you're not doing it good enough. We know that from being a child, we know it from being a teenager, we know it from being in a relationship, and your work is the same thing. You will not get through something that doesn't hurt a little bit. So when it hurts, look into yourself and see, am I on the right path? Is what I am doing, what I initially started up, is this the right thing? And if it's not, then you have to change it. But if you still innerly believe it's the right thing, then it has to hurt a little, and you just have to keep on moving.
That's a very good piece of advice. I'm very grateful that you came, and in the middle of your busy day, showing international guests around. You have VIP visits right now, I know, so I'm very grateful.
It's a Saturday in Copenhagen, and it's really busy. The spa hotel is full, and I just enjoy sitting here, being all relaxed and having fun with you. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And go ahead, do like mine, and create a fun life with lots of things happening. So thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for enlightening us with your perspective by leaving a comment on the blog. Also, while you're at it, please don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, Illuminate Me, so I can keep you posted on more tips and tricks on 21st century leadership, and also more interviews with thought leaders, innovators, and other inspiring people. And then let's connect on the social media so we can gather a big community of passionate people who are all committed to co-creating a world that works for all. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully keep in touch.